I'm back. Jesus. I think we got to check. I'm just checking real quick. I'm going to just check and see where we're at, see if I have what I need here. And then once I'm clear, then we'll get started. And just thank you very much for putting up with this whole thing. Waiting for it to kick in here. Hold on a second. Working on it. It says it's live. I'm waiting for internet to catch up. Waiting for my internet to catch up to it. Let me go over here and see if I can get it on this other one here. Stand by. I think I'm good though, but I just want to make sure that I'm live here on the new system. All right, we are. Cool. All right. Well, I did that and it was not. Let me shut this off. All right. Cool. All right. Thank you for putting up with that. Okay. So here we are. We're back. Different system. It's going to be a little bit different. I'm learning this new system. It's badass though. We're moving on over here and we're going to do this thing. Thank you for being here. Episode 184. We just spent 40 minutes or so with New California State, which is, if you missed it, or if you're coming in late or whatever, it's where California is going to be basically the new model for the United States, where we go back to the old way of doing business as instead of politicians, they're going to be people that go in and do the work for the government, for the state, and then they go back to their regular job. They're not taking bribery and all that stuff. They're not bartenders turning into millionaires and all that stuff. They're literally going to be working for the people. And we haven't had that in a long time. And that's the idea. That's kind of what it's, the whole idea is to take us back to a time, take us back to a time where politics wasn't a career, but instead politics was something that you go and do your business for whoever you're representing, and then you go back to work instead of, all the money, bribes, and all that stuff that's going on in our government. Okay. So I'm just checking. I was just double checking to make sure that I wasn't talking to myself. Okay. Because I do that well, but here we are. Okay. New system. We're going to get into this. We're going to start right here. Let me play this. Stand by. A little different. It's going to take me a minute to catch up, but here we go.
Very important relationship. We're going to get along good with China. I hear so many stories about we're not going to allow their students, or we're going to allow their students to come in. We're going to allow, it's very important, 600,000 students. It's very important.
I mean, it is official CFR globalist policy to deindustrialize the United States. On purpose, the Great Reset. We have all the carbon controls. China has none. It's designed to screw us. It's on purpose, Trump. China is testing. China is manipulating. China is seeing how far they can go with these probes. And when you put it together with their Confucian societies and $6 billion a year in the U.S. universities to control academia and biopoliticians, and you look at their acquisition of the media and the fact that they own 4 of the 6 big production houses in Hollywood.
Lacking farmland, China has struggled to secure food for its 1.4 billion citizens. Just recently, in August, 4 Chinese government departments warned a drought posed a severe threat to the autumn harvest. That has driven overseas investments in food, including the purchase of Virginia-based pork producer Smithfield Foods and partnership with Growmark, a grain logistics firm.
This entire system we see is being foisted by a handful of corporations and the Chinese communists. The people that run our country are out to get us. They're at war with us on every front, and you already know that. But as soon as we can get the bureaucrats and the woke leftists to just pull back and understand that they've been Stockholm syndromed and that they're helping their own abusers and destroyers, and they're pretending like they're part of some liberal revolution to create a utopia, as soon as they realize that this liberal utopia is meant to bring in total autocratic tyranny, and then they're going to have a backlash and ban the entire leftist system that they've injected into us to only paralyze us. In the next phase of the New World Order program, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be eugenics all the way. But they intend on making the world so hellish in the build-up to 2030 that everybody will just wink, wink when they release the race-specific bioweapons, starting with Africa, that are going to wipe that continent absolutely out.
Communist tabloid The Global Times explains China's Global Civilization Initiative as the third major global initiative presented by China after the Global Development Initiative and the Global Security Initiative. This narrative deceptively claims the initiative calls for respect for the diversity of civilizations, upholding the common values of humanity and pursuing peace, development, equity, justice, democracy, and freedom, and promoting robust international people-to-people exchanges and cooperation.
House Oversight says they've got bank records showing a Chinese energy company paying 3 Biden family members through a third party. What were they paid for?
Look, I'm just not going to respond to that from here.
He's telling us that he paid around $11,000 to complete this trip. That's either paid to a cartel or different human smuggling groups. But he just arrived here in Texas, once again, just highlighting that this sector is leading the nation in those illegal crossings from Chinese nationals.
The emerging BRICS countries quickly fell in line behind President Xi's illusion.
We have lost people. Now, how much more bloodshed do we need to understand that the transition is upon us?
South African President Cyril Ramaphosa said that he fully agrees with Xi's initiative.
South Africa is grateful to the People's Republic of China for its support throughout the pandemic.
While UN water-carrying Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić also said that nation should uphold the principles of equality, mutual learning, dialogue, and inclusiveness. Equality from a Chinese government that is conducting a mass genocidal sterilization campaign on its citizens known as the Uyghurs.
Before eating, we have to praise or say that we are grateful to country, we are very grateful for China's Communist Party, and we are grateful for Xi Jinping.
This desperate man says he and his wife and children are starving. Uyghurs were barely allowed to leave their homes during the COVID-19 lockdown.
Mutual learning from a cover-up of a global lab leak that has killed millions and damaged millions more through the initial virus and its subsequent vaccine. Once the layers of propaganda are stripped off, that even American media gleefully engages in, Xi's speech is laid bare for what it is: the announcement of the impending emergence of a new world order carefully constructed by globalist think tanks for decades. John Bound reporting.
You were just telling me that you had a...
The system seemed better for you? It seems better to me. So, hey, welcome to the show. Welcome back. I'll go back in there and I'll cut that out, the little mess up, the little 5 or so minutes that I had to fix the system. Let me know if you can hear me okay. Should be good now. I think everything's good now. I'm getting good sound. It looks like everything's golden. So, everything revolves right now around China and Taiwan, and we know this. We've talked about this forever, but now we have Trump putting tariffs on China, 35% tariffs, I believe, on China, and now last week you had Russia and China over there with the other people, the other countries, they're all over there doing their walk, talking, they got caught on a hot mic talking about all this stuff and everything. But the main part of that is, even though many years ago, let me see here, many years ago, the globalists, Klaus Schwab, Bill Gates, you know, Noah Harari, and all those people, they pulled away from China because China wants to be the one world government, and the globalists want to control population, and China was controlling population for many, many years. Then they realized what they were doing was depopulating their own people, and they're, even though they have, I think, 1.2 billion people in China, they realized maybe that they shouldn't do that. Well, China is constantly building weapons, and the last report was 7-1 to ours, and we've talked about this before, but I think it's important that we pay attention to what China's doing, because remember, everything you see is about China. And I'll tell you a story. So yesterday, my wife says she gets these these, I don't know, they're memberships from, clothing places and stuff like that, and she says they're putting $4 tariffs on everything, every piece of clothing that I buy. And I go, well, why don't you buy from America? She goes like, I never thought about it like in that term. So she doesn't have the same idea about America, buy America, support America. She didn't really get it. So I had a conversation with her, like, everything that you do, that you buy stuff that comes from overseas, if they're putting a tariff on you, $4 tariff for a pair of pants, and you buy 5 items or 10 items, it's $40, and you know you're supporting them instead of supporting American made products. And she's like, I didn't think of it like that. And I go, well, every time you buy something from China, you're helping them to take down America, because that's what they do. China has always been about destroying the United States. Well, really destroying all countries besides China, and so that clip right there really tells me that we are the problem and China is the culprit. If you really play it, and we'll play that clip next week again, and we'll just get into it in more detail, about how China is, one, working their way in here, buying up all the land and all that stuff. So you remember, Bill Gates does the same thing. They buy all the land. They're trying to make all these all these fake meat plants, and vegetable plants that are vegetable manufacturing in the United States that's not real food. It's all synthetic and all that stuff. We've talked about this, the butter and all that stuff. It's all Bill Gates. But China also does that. But the reason why they do it is so they could spy on us. Everything that China does is to spy on the American people. If you wonder why, 10 miles down the road from a major military base, China has bought 750 acres of land right next to that, is so that they can build and so they can spy on the United States. And so when you hear the thing, the China problem, we created a China problem because we buy all of our goods and we do all of our, buy, TVs and, all the stuff that we buy from China supports them to take down the United States. So that's what I'm going to say about that this right now. I just want to get that in there because I think it's important. And I wanted to see if I have my system going right. Anyway, I don't have all the information on that because I haven't done the deep dive that I normally do on these clips. When I get these John Bound clips, I didn't really do a deep dive on it, but I know enough to know that everything you buy from China is directly against the United States. All right, so here we are. All right, we're going to jump into this. So RFK Jr. was at the Senate. They were roasting him about all the vaccine stuff and all the things going on with that, and while he's doing that, Bill Gates and you know, Tim Cook and you know, all those characters. You know, let's see, Zuckerberg, Gates, Altman, Cook, and some other characters were, you know, doing this. You know, I guess they're the face of media, right? They're the face of media, and they're all at this dinner with Trump. And I have a few clips from what they had to say, and then I have what Bannon says about that and how horrible it is that that even happened. I don't know what Trump's doing. I don't know what the play is yet, because I don't really know what the real thing is that's going on, except for I don't want to think that Trump isn't like in a position to where he knows that all those people are globalists. They're depopulation and you know, take down America, just like China. So are all these globalists that, you know, kill us with poison vaccine, all these things, right? All this stuff, right? So we're gonna get into this right now. So we're gonna run this right now, and then we'll hear what Bannon has to say about this. Where he's pretty pissed off, pretty hot, and I'm sure that he's talking to the White House right now, figuring out what the fuck are you doing. But you know, sometimes I think that Trump's not paying attention, and other times I think that Trump is doing it so that he can, you know, keep his enemies closer. You know what I mean? Keep his friends close and his enemies closer. I mean, Bill Gates is sitting next to Melania. That is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life. So we're going to start right here at 1E. We're going to start with 1E, and we're going to work our way through here. No. I don't. No. My bad. Excuse me. We're going to do this one right here. Stand by.
Well, I'm in the second phase of my career, giving away all the wonderful money that Satya's good work has helped multiply a lot. But I think the thing that ties my first career that I still spend some time on, because AI is so phenomenal, and my second career is innovation, innovating in health in areas like vaccines or gene editing. And the president and I are talking about taking American innovation to the next level to cure and even eradicate some of these diseases. He mentioned polio, which is one that we're close. We don't need new science on that one. For some like HIV and sickle cell, we do need new science, but the U.S. Has the seeds that, in the same way that Warp Speed took those seeds and put them together, I think something fantastic can be done. AI for our foundation is that we want a doctor for everyone in Africa through AI. We want farmers to have incredible advice, and kids to have a chance to learn. So the work being done by the people at this table is changing the world. It's coming fast, so it's great. We all get together and talk about how the U.S. can lead in this key area and apply it even to the poorest outside the U.S. as well as to our great citizens. So thank you for incredible leadership, including getting this group together.
Well, thanks for hosting us, and this is quite a group to get together. And I think all of the companies here are making huge investments in the country in order to build out data centers and infrastructure to power the next wave of innovation. So it's we don't often get together as the CEOs of the different companies, but it's good to see everyone.
Thank you for incredible leadership, including getting this group together.
Thank you, Bill. That's very nice.
I want to thank you for including me this evening. It's incredible to be among everyone here, particularly you and the First Lady. I've always enjoyed having dinner and interacting. I want to thank you for setting the tone such that we could make a major investment in the United States and have some key manufacturing, advanced manufacturing here. I think that says a lot about your focus and your leadership and your focus on innovation.
First of all, to echo the comments of Tim and others, thank you so much for getting us all together, and thank you for being such a pro-business, pro-innovation president. It's a very refreshing change. We're very excited to see what you're doing to make all of our companies and our entire country so successful. The investment that's happening here, the ability to get the power in the industry back in the United States, I think this will set us up for a long period of great success leading the world, and I don't think that would be happening now without your leadership.
I think that everything that you're doing in terms of setting in place the platform where the rest of the world can not only use our technology but trust our technology more than any other alternative is perhaps the most important issue. And you and your policies are really helping a lot. So thank you very much.
All right, so it leads me to believe, like, the last time Bill Gates was at the White House, he was talking about vaccines, and then Trump came out after that and said that it was, he was talking about how great warp speed was. And then last week, this is so weird that this is going on, where they have Bill Gates sitting next to Melania and him, when he just got through saying that there's issues with the vaccines that need to be addressed. And, the same day Kennedy is at the Senate getting raked over the coals. I mean, he held his own. He did a great job of letting them know. And we're going to play the clips here in a few minutes about, why he's taking the mandatory vaccination schedule out of kids' vaccines, like getting vaccines at newborn babies, getting the hepatitis B shots and all these different things, right? But I'm still like, why? I don't understand why Trump would have them there unless there's a bigger play. I want to think that Trump knows, but then remember, we see this over and over and over where Trump doesn't know what's going on, and then he has these meetings with these people, and then the media, the alternative media, the media now, us, we start causing a bunch of ruckus about this over the internet, talking about how horrible that is, and then he sees, at some point he sees what that it's not popular for us, the normal MAGA patriots, and then he usually reverses his track on it. And I hate to think that whoever set that meeting up and didn't clear Trump on like what that's going to do for him and his ratings and his his polls or whatever the fuck it is, all that stuff that happens when all these things happen, should be fired. But for the sake of what we're doing for right now, let's just keep going here. We got a couple more clips to go over right now. I'm gonna run these three together. It's gonna be just about 5 minutes, but we're just gonna run with it, okay? Because I think it's important that we see the other side of this. Because again, information is key. You need all the information so you can make a conformed, idea, about what to believe or not believe about this whole thing. Is OpenAI great, or is it not great? Is Bill Gates and his vaccine programs, and is it good or is it bad? Is Zuckerberg selling your information on Facebook a good thing or a bad thing? I mean, all these things, because that's when you take and dissect each one of these characters, these evil satanic people, you have to make a conformed consent about what it is that you're really gonna allow or see or be willing to be okay with or whatever. That's why we do this, right? So we can get all the information, then we make our own idea, make our own judgment on what is right for us or not. So stand by.
My God, Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates, on the day that Bobby Kennedy goes in there, the guys at the White House, Katsiotis and Sachs, whatever Sachs is doing, you're telling me that we gave previews last week on Bobby Kennedy. We said it's going to be a star chamber. It's going to be an inquisition. That Bobby Kennedy is going to show his guts and courage by standing in the breach and taking it on, of which he did magnificently. And on that night, you're going to have at the White House a dinner that you're going to invite Mark Zuckerberg, and Sachs, you're going to sit next to him like some clown. He should be in jail. And we're in a federal court right now trying to break the company up. How is that appropriate? He tried to talk, ask Mike Davis, he went to Zuckerberg went to the White House and tried to talk the president out of it. The president, no, the FTC went ahead with the suit. And Bill Gates should be in prison. He's a demon of a demon. On the diet, he's the worst in the world for the vaccines, to put money in his own pocket. And all of them to have the government underwrite it. Remember, when you see those tech guys, all this in the government contracts, it's all socializing the downside. You're paying for it, and they get unlimited upside. This is why the conservatives and you guys, Intel, hey, I take stakes in all of them. Some of them I take 89% stakes and distribute the shares to the American people. Not have the government keep it. Distribute the shares to the American people. Let the American people have a piece of the action. They're paying for it. Why don't you get a little something for the effort?
Yeah.
Zuckerberg should be in the hot seat getting grilled. Gates is a demon. He's demonic. Zuckerberg is demonic. These people bring no votes. The American people hate them. They're all in for themselves. In the day that we stumble, they're going to be on the other side. They're going to be suppressing. This is why the Palantir stuff's so dangerous. It's all going to be used against you.
Yeah, all used against you. That's exactly what's going to happen.
You want to have a catastrophe in 2026? Keep going down the road of the tech bros. You want to have a catastrophe in 20, and they're going to bail on you in a second. It's not like, okay, we'll do it because they're in the trenches, they're fixed bayonets. No, the exact opposite. They're all progressive Democrats. Not one of them, maybe a couple of them are libertarians, right? And that's just a phony way to say, oh, I'm a libertarian, which are really a progressive Democrat. Somebody's got to wake up there. Kratzios is, if he's putting these things together, that is an insult to the Maha movement. To see that crowd after Bobby Kennedy gets eviscerated and he stands in the breach hammering, you have the crowd that made the pandemic worse. Yes, Fauci and Collins and all of it, yeah, and CDC, I got it. But the platform they used to basically shut us down. We were deplatforming all those guys after Zuckerberg helped steal the 2020 election. We were shut down by all of them because of the pandemic. And you have those guys there, they're not with us. They're not with the president. They will put the knife in him in a second. And they don't get it. They fundamentally do not get our movement, and they hate the American people. Sachs, the conflict's interest with this guy, it's got to stop. And he's sitting there right next to Zuckerberg, bouncing around. And the guy at the technology office is setting these things up on the day that Bobby Kennedy they try to do a star chamber and an inquisition on a man that stood in the breach and call him out and said, hey, how much money are you taking? What have you done the last 25 years to stop it? Because Big Tech's in business with Big Pharma. 100% with them. And on that night, you have a celebratory dinner with the president. And by the way, not briefing the president. Somebody's got to inform the president that, because they're holding it back for that information back from him. As Mike Davis says, the Google lawsuit was dropped in President Trump's first term. Just like the FTC suit against Zuckerberg. I don't even know how you have Zuckerberg next to the president when Zuckerberg's trying to get in the Oval Office to try to work out some deal so we don't break up Facebook, which we want to break up Facebook. We want to break up Google. The headline, Wall Street Journal yesterday, Google ruling shows limits to U.S. antitrust enforcement. There ain't going to be any limits. You got to break these people up. They're evil. They do not support this movement.
Yep. So I agree with Bannon 100% that, what you have is these globalist, evil, demonic, satanic people in our White House with our president. And our president, there's no way that Trump's that fucking stupid to know what that does, what that represents, especially like Bannon says, on the day that RFK Jr. goes to the Senate and gets just fucking hammered about vaccines, just hammered. And, he held his own. I'll give him that. He did hold his own. But it doesn't change the fact that it takes all the credibility out of what RFK did today by standing there or sitting there in the breach, just taking it and telling them, no, you took this much money. You took that, you did this, all the different things that happened from, the whole vaccine thing, the whole what do you call it? It's not necessarily money laundering, but it's definitely taking money for the vaccine manufacturers to push the vaccine, right? We know that. So what is it really? Is it pay for play? I would say it's a pay for play for sure, because all those people, they didn't take no vaccine. Well, maybe some of them did. They're stupid enough. But my point is, and all that is, exactly what we're saying. Like, why would you have Bill Gates sitting next to your wife, the first lady, in a meeting about doing business with the globalists about making billions more dollars, when they're the exact reason why we're in the trouble and we have such a problem with everything going on in our country right now is because of those people and a few others, Yeah, they're the tech bros, got it. But the bottom line is, you notice Elon Musk wasn't there, right? You know why Elon Musk wasn't there? Because he will not be caught in the same room with those pieces of shits. So, anyway. So that's what I have to say about that. Please hit me up in the comments. Tell me what you think. Please subscribe to the channel. Get a Rumble X. We have a new YouTube channel as well. It's Inspector Webb on YouTube. Check it out. If you can't find it, go to John Webb, but it should be under Inspector Webb now. I had it mislabeled last week and I realized it, and I think I changed it. Just like my heading for this show says on X, it says test new system. We're testing a new system right now on the fly. And again, I apologize for the mix up. I don't know what happened to that system that I've used it for several years and it was working just fine last week. And then all of a sudden I couldn't run videos on it. I don't know. So we're going to get rid of that system. We're going to go to this one anyway. But, for me, not knowing, I don't have a bunch of people here. I don't have a producer and 5 editors and, I don't have that. So at some point we'll be able to do that. And we'll be able to have a full studio. We have a studio, but we're working. We just finished a business plan, so we're talking about some sponsors. Actually, I had a couple that emailed me today, and I didn't get to them because I was, just busy, one man show. So this weekend, I'm going to be dealing with that and getting those sponsors hooked up so we can get that ball rolling and get some promo videos or whatever it is to sell some merchandise on the show so that we can make some money. So we can have an editor, a producer, another producer, and get some people like that in here to help me roll this thing because we're going to get this thing fired up. We're going to get it fired up good. We're going to talk to the radio, see if we can get some radio stuff going. We're going to do it. We're just going to get it all going. So you can look for that in the future under Inspector Webb. So anyway, all right. So we're going to keep going here. I wish I wouldn't have wasted all that time, but I'm learning and I'm figuring it out. And if you, I appreciate you sticking out with me. Some of you have been with me for a long time, and you probably scratch your head half the time because I'm figuring it out, but I'm doing it. And because this is so important for our children, it's so important for our parents, it's so important for the people that have been brainwashed for 50 years about how the government is great. And we know that now that they lie to you every day, all day long, and they tell stories about everybody that's good and make everybody that's good look bad. We know this now. We've seen it. It really became apparent after 2020. But really, if you think about it, it really became apparent in 16 when they were, dragging Trump over the coals for fake stuff, Russiagate and all those different things, impeachments and, the perfect phone call to Ukraine and all that stuff. We know that they're corrupt. We didn't know how corrupt. But if nothing good came out of COVID, people waking up and seeing the truth really did happen because people had no choice but to see the truth. And a lot of people did. A lot of people seen the truth. And, some people just don't get it. And they will or they won't. But we're going to keep pushing, man. We're going to keep telling the truth. We're going to keep coming on here when we get things wrong and letting you know that we might have fucked that up or whatever. But what we're doing is we're going to do this, and we're going to continue to put the message out of the truth, because the media lies to you. The government lies to you. So we're going to do that. So you got my word on that, okay? And I'm a man. My word's all I got. When you take away all the flashy things and the family and all that stuff, when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, I have my word, and my word is all I got as a man. Okay? That's the truth. That's all I got. All right, so where we at? We are, oh yeah. Did you know that ICE went into a Hyundai plant in Georgia? 450 illegals working in the plant. Did you know that? 450 in one plant. So you live in Georgia, and you're like, dude, I can't get a job for nothing, man. I get these bullshit jobs that last a week or two. I can't feed my family. This is one of the reasons why right here, because they're hiring all these illegals for dirt cheap wages and taking your food right out of your mouth, right out of your kids' mouth. And we just sit on the couch going, man, I wish I could get a job. Well, ICE is doing something about it. It might not be to the degree that they came in, but they're doing something about it. Let's check this out.
Site, okay? We're Homeland Security with a search warrant for the whole site. We need construction to cease immediately. We need all work to end on the site right now.
Yeah, I have. I have. I'm not going to say it now, but yeah, I have. We're going to go into another place and straighten it out. And I will say this: I watched today. I didn't know that was continuing to go on, but Portland is unbelievable. What's going on in Portland? The destruction of the city. Well, I'm going to look at it now because I didn't know that was still going on. This has been going on for years. So we'll be able to stop that very easily. We'll be able to stop. But that was not on my list, Portland. But when I watched television last night, this has been going on. You wouldn't be standing if you were the mayor. You would be. Can you imagine?
Going to now.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. So Portland's the next spot. If you didn't catch that, Portland. Did you know that they still have that going on in Portland, where they're still taking over areas and burning cities down and going crazy in the street? I had no idea. Excuse me. I had no idea. Excuse me. That Portland was still like that. I had no idea. I had no fucking idea that was going on. Okay, it's crazy. Wow. So Chicago, Portland, Los Angeles, probably Philadelphia, I would think. At least go in there and get rid of all the people that are on fentanyl. I mean, have you seen Philadelphia? What Philadelphia looks like? I mean, people are they're just all on fentanyl. And they, I don't know if you've seen the fentanyl stand where they're hunched over with their head at their knees standing up. I mean, it's just crazy. If you haven't seen that, it is wild to see that kind of stuff. But so RFK I just pulled two because I know it's all over the internet, and I just wanted to pull a couple clips about RFK. I didn't want to, and I had the guests, so I didn't want to spend a bunch of time on a whole lot of clips, but I have a couple here with RFK and Pocahontas, and we're going to get into those right now. Yeah, we have a few. We're gonna. But before we do that, we're gonna do this. Every now and then, before we get into RFK, we're gonna finish this. My clips were off, not labeled right, and I just realized it. Every now and then, Scarborough, the editors over there, put something in his teleprompter that is shocking, and I don't know why that he's flip-flop like this, but check this out, where he's talking about Chicago and saying that we should be protecting the people of Chicago, because Chicago's like the murder capital of the world right now, or of the United States. I mean, there's 15, 20 murders every weekend in Chicago. I mean, it's a war zone. So anyway, stand by.
Concern is you have leaders in Chicago that see this, as you say. We've been reading about this for years now, every weekend, and maybe crime has gone down. But, we had the mayor of Chicago on last week saying, oh, we don't need any more police officers. Police officers aren't the answer. No police officers. I think he said no 5 times. You look what's happening this weekend. You look so, I actually think that J.B. Pritzker should do something radical. I think he should pick up the phone, call the president, and say, and I know, you don't have the constitutional authority to deploy the National Guard here and to police you can do that in D.C., you can't do that in Chicago. But let's partner up. These are the most dangerous parts of my state. We would love to figure out how to have a partnership that's constitutional, that respects the sort of balance of federalism between the federal government and the state government. And let's work together to save lives. Because right now, just hey, nothing to see here moving along. No problem here. Hey, Donald Trump, we don't need you. And, the mayor talking about we're going to protect people's dignity in our city. Well, protect their lives. That's protecting their dignity. It would be radical for us to figure out a way to actually do what I've been saying from the very beginning on Washington, and that is seeing politicians creating partnerships that protect their people. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild that he said that, because normally he's, saying, more protests, right? But he's saying that, so there must be some reason why MSNBC is taking this path, because they hate Trump. They're all Trump derangement syndrome and all that stuff. So it'd be interesting to see. And I talked about this last week. I did. I'm concerned about them cozying up, just like the globalists. They cozy up to Trump, and then they set him up with something. You know what I mean? Whether it's a phone call or whatever it is, they set him up, and like, oh yeah, come on into our city and clean it up, right? And then he goes in there, and next thing there's a mass shooting or something, and Lord forbid, and then they end up doing something like blaming him for it, saying that, oh, ICE killed a bunch of people and all that stuff. I mean, I could just totally see something like that happening. So I'm hoping that I'm just tripping. You know what I mean? I'm hoping that but if you think about it, that is just right up the Democrats, right up their alley, just right up their alley to do something like that. Because you see them, you see how they are with Trump and everything that he's doing. I mean, and here's a great example of how these Democrats operate with RFK. Like, they don't, and I get it, sound bites, but you think about it. RFK is over there, and he's at the Senate hearing, and he's attempting to tell them that what he's doing, that he didn't take vaccines off the market. He simply didn't make them mandatory. That's all he did. If you want a vaccine, you can still get one, unless you're in, there's some states that banned them, outright just banned them. But there's most of the states you can still get these vaccines if you want them. So, but he's attempting to say that to her, and she just keeps rolling over him, because that's how the Democrats roll. That's how they roll. So let's listen to RFK take Warren to the sandbox.
As Senator Dr. Cassidy said, you are effectively denying people vaccines.
We're not going to recommend a product for which there's no clinical data for that indication. Is that what I should be doing?
What you should be doing is honoring your promise that you made when you were looking to get confirmed in this job.
You're going like this.
That is, you promised that you would not take away vaccines from anyone who wanted them. You just changed the classification of the COVID vaccine.
I'm not taking them away from people, Senator.
It takes it away if you can't get it from your pharmacist.
Well, most Americans are going to be able to get it from their pharmacy for free. Most Americans will be able to get it from their pharmacy for free.
The question is, everyone who wants it, that was your promise.
No, I didn't. I never promised that I was going to recommend products with which there is no indication.
When you said...
And I know you've taken $855,000 from pharmaceutical companies, Senator.
Did you hold up a big sign saying that you were lying when you said that? Because you are the one who said you would not take them away. Now, Senator Kennedy,
I'm not taking them away from anybody.
Secretary,
you want me to indicate a product for which there is no clinical data?
Senator,
is that what you want?
Secretary Kennedy, you said you wouldn't, and now you did.
I'm not taking them away. Everybody can get access to them.
No, they can't walk into a pharmacy the way they could last month and get access.
It depends on the state. It depends on the states.
A year ago,
but they can still get it. Everybody can get it. Everybody can get it, Senator.
So look, let's move.
Secretary Kennedy, in your confirmation hearings, you promised to uphold the highest standards for vaccines. Since then, I've grown deeply concerned. The public has seen measles outbreaks, leadership of the National Institute of Health questioning the use of mRNA vaccines, the recently confirmed director of Centers for Disease Control and Prevention fired. Americans don't know who to rely on. Recent polls said 89% of voters, 81% of Trump voters agree vaccine recommendations should come from trained physicians, scientists, public health experts. So, they believe, Senator Marshall, Senator Cassidy, they believe me when it comes to vaccines. If we're going to make America healthy again, we can't allow public health to be undermined. So could you explain what steps you're going to be taking to ensure vaccine guidance is clear, evidence-based, and trustworthy?
We're going to make it clear, evidence-based, and trustworthy for the first time in history.
Secretary.
Yeah.
Most of the vaccines after 1989 were added not for public health reasons, but for profit, pharmaceutical profit reasons. So why are we vaccinating one-day-old babies for hepatitis B when the only way they're going to get hepatitis B is, hepatitis B is sexually transmitted. You get it from having sex with from multiple partners in gay sex or from sex workers or intravenous drug use. Why would you give that to a baby? It clearly the only reason, in fact, Merck, when it developed the drug, was told by FDA and CDC, we want you to develop this for those vulnerable populations. And the populations, when they didn't buy it, Merck went back to the agencies and saying, you told us to develop this vaccine, nobody's buying it. And CDC said, don't worry, we'll just recommend it for children. We'll force everybody to buy it. So that's how it got on the schedule. There's no medical justification. It is true that you can get hepatitis B from an infected mother, but every mother in every hospital in the United States is tested for hepatitis B, so you can identify the kids who would benefit. You don't give it mass population-wide.
Yeah. So I want to cover this real quick before I got one more clip that's very shocking information for you. And it's, I have a son that was, smart. He's a very smart kid. I mean, he's not a kid anymore. He's 17 and he's got autism. And when he was younger, he walked early, did all the things, and he's high functioning, for sure. But the autism has never been in our family, so it's not like a genetic thing. It didn't get passed down through genes or whatever. But I really believe that it's this that I'm gonna show you this clip right now in a minute. But why would you give a kid, a baby, right out of the womb, a hepatitis shot, a hepatitis B shot? Why would you? Right? Well, Kennedy says it right there. He's like, the hepatitis B shot was a money. It was a money grab. Just like there's a couple other ones as well. They're just money grabs because they created these vaccines. Nobody was buying them because why would you give your kid a vaccine when he's born? And then they made it part of the vaccine schedule. And I seen a what the hell is that? I seen a clip. I seen a clip. Oh, that's the information for the. I'll go pull that up in a minute. It's the voting for our first segment today when we had Matson on. We were talking about the voting in California. I'll get back to that in a few minutes. But my point is a young man, he's probably 25 or something, 30 maybe at the most, and he didn't want to get his son or daughter, I don't know which one it was, his kid, a vaccine. And because he didn't get the kid the vaccine at birth, they turned him into CPS and said that he was unfit because he didn't want to get the vaccine for his kid when he was newborn. Now, if no kid should be getting a vaccine until after they're 7 years old. There's no reason for it. They have all these things that you have to do to go to school in California. You have to get these vaccines and all that stuff. That's when I started noticing that my son was different after, 5 or 6, right? When he started getting these vaccines, right? So this next clip is the autism rates. Now, autism rates over the last 30 years have changed dramatically. You know that in California, where they do the most research in California, that the autism rates are 1 in 12 and a half, 1 in 12.5 in young boys. 1 in 12.5. Not 1 in 2, not 1 in 20,000 or 1 in even what it used to be 1 in 33 or 1 in 64. It's 1 in 12.5. Now I'm gonna show you right now. It's shocking information that just came out last week, because remember, RFK said that he was going to do the research on the vaccines and find out where the autism came from, and he's done that in this short report. Stand by.
In 1987, there was another exhaustive study, a peer-reviewed study in North Dakota, set out to count every child in the state with a pervasive developmental disorder, including autism. That study meticulously combed through every record, every diagnosis, and he even conducted in-person assessments of the entire population of 180,000 children under 18. The autism rate they found was 3.3 per 10,000. So that's in line with the 1 in 10,000 that was found in Wisconsin 17 years earlier. For context, today the last number of 1 in 36 is 83 times higher. In 1987, out of every 1 million kids, 330 were diagnosed with autism. Today, there are 27,777 for every million. If you accept the epidemic deniers' narrative, you have to believe that researchers in North Dakota missed 98.8% of the children with autism. That thousands of profoundly disabled children were somehow invisible to doctors, teachers, parents, and even their own study. The same researchers who followed the original cohort for 12 years to double check their number, they went back in 2000 and found that they had missed exactly one child. So doctors and therapists in the past were not stupid. They weren't missing all these cases. The epidemic is real. Between 1959 and 1965, researchers from 14 hospitals associated with major universities undertook the National Collaborative Perinatal Project, tracking 30,000 children from birth to age 8. This was no half-baked survey-based analysis. The study conducted 9 separate screenings covering neurology, psychology, speech, language, hearing, and visual function. Every developmental quirk, anomaly, and disorder was logged with painstaking detail. Autism, a condition characterized by profound impairments in social communication and behavior, would have stood out like a neon sign. There were 14 cases. That's 4.7 per 10,000. So we know what the historic numbers are, and we know what the numbers are today. And it's time for everybody to stop attributing this to this ideology of epidemic denial. In 2009, the California State Legislature charged the Mind Institute at UC Davis with because this myth was already becoming pervasive, the myth of epidemic denial was already becoming pervasive in the mainstream media. the California legislature directed the Mind Institute at UC Davis to answer the question. And River Hertz-Pichotto is a highly esteemed, revered scientist, neurology, and epidemiologist, came back with a definitive answer. The epidemic is real. Only a very, very small portion of it can be changed to better can be charged to better recognition or better diagnostic criteria. I want to say a couple of other things. There are many, many other studies that affirm this. And
yeah, so again, what we're talking about here is the autism rates going from 1 in 20,000 in like 1985 to 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, it was 1 in 33. And now it's 1 in 12.5 in young boys. And now boys are more susceptible to autism than girls. Obviously, their brain barrier for a girl is bigger, so it's harder for it to get into the membrane than it is for boys. And so this is shocking news. Like, you'd think that it's 1 in 100, or 1 in 500. No, 1 in 12.5. So for every 12, or say for one in every 13 kids is autistic. Boys. You think we have a problem? We should ask Pocahontas if she thinks that that we should be stopping vaccines, or if we should keep giving kids vaccines at birth when the autism rate is so high. I mean, I think that all these people that do this, that don't do the research, and I get some are just stupid. I get it. But when the stats are so high, I mean, the statistics are so high for this stuff, and they're out there taking $800,000 from big pharma to push these drugs, when what they're doing is they're killing our kids, or they're injuring our kids, right? I mean, they did this with COVID. They've done this in a lot of different areas, and we've seen it. And that's what's happened to people. People have woken up because of this. Like, if you don't see the malice here, maybe you're missing something. Maybe, I don't know. But it's kind of hard not to be able to see it. After all the stuff that's happened in just the last 4 years, let's just use 2020 to now, 2025. Let's just use that 4 or 5 years as a gauge. Can you really say right now that there's no malice? It's hard to believe. It's hard to believe it's not. So I'm always willing to listen to somebody that has a great opportunity. They have a great opportunity to tell me the truth, like to tell me what their view is on it. But I've yet to have anybody want to come out and tell me, the truth, except for like a Krasenstein, because they just say whatever whoever's paying them. That's what they say, right? So it's pretty sad. So we need to wake up. And that leads me to this right here. Nick Fuentes, this kid, man, he's like 23 years old. He's got this, he's just he's smart. And whether you think that he's a racist or he's this or he's that, I think what I get from him, what I get from Nick Fuentes is that he just tells you what he believes. He practices his free speech. Whether it's something you like or not, I mean, this is America, and we used to be able to just say whatever the hell we wanted to say, whether it's right or wrong. But nowadays, it's, not popular, politically incorrect, and all these different things that, if you say what's on your mind, then, then you're, fill in the blank, racist or, homophobe or whatever it is. So this is what Nick Fuentes has to say right here. I find it shocking, but I also see the point. And that's the main reason why I pulled this clip, because we need to wake up. We need to wake up. We need to wake the fuck up. That's for sure. Absolutely. Stand by.
I'm sick and tired of our options being you can either be murdered by a black person or you go to jail for 1,000 years for defending your life in the wrong way. There's a story last week. Guy in Denver, Colorado. They try to steal his car 3 times. On the 3rd time, the guy snaps. He gets in his car, he chases them, he one of them. They put him in jail for 54 years. Now you say that's a crazy reaction. You don't get in your car and chase somebody shooting out of the car. That's insane. But we have been pushed to this point. It didn't start that way. It didn't start that way the first time that guy had his car almost get stolen. It didn't happen the second time that guy almost got his car stolen. It happened the 3rd time. And you want to know why it happened? Because the first time, I'm sure this guy lost his shit. I'm sure he was terrified. His wife was terrified. He's paying a lot of money for this house. He works a job. You work too hard to have to worry about your piece of shit Elantra being stolen and your life being in jeopardy. So what do? You call the cops. And you know what they do? They show up and they say, we can do nothing for you. Well, file a report online, they say. They do fucking nothing. Nothing. And it never gets better. And it's traumatic. We're not used to living like this. It happens a second time. What do you think he does the second time? Loses his shit again. Out of his mind. Calls the cops. This is the second time. What is going on? Third time? It's go time. Get in the car. Put the seatbelt on. Motherfucker, it's go time. Somebody dies. 54 years in prison. It's his fault? What's the responsibility of the police to enforce the laws? What's the responsibility of these fucking people not to steal cars? How many times you almost get your car stolen, you get a gun pointed in your face? How many times does your home get invaded before you say, you know what? I'm going to be the solution now. This is where we got. After we've seen countless videos of bystanders pushed in front of trains, in the neck for nothing. Team takeovers, vandalism and destruction, commerce drying up, businesses leaving the city, people being followed home, confronted in their driveway, their elderly parents, their children, students, college kids. They wanted us to abolish the police, and look what happened. After they looted the phone store, the liquor store, they told us abolish the police, and look what that accomplished. Now we live in fear. Now the cops do nothing. Now the criminals and the opportunists have free reign. And if we try to stop them, we go to jail. They don't go to jail. We go to jail. And these sucking FBI agents, they're going to create Telegram group chats to entrap 18-year-olds to post a fucking 4chan meme. Hey, pigs, why don't you arrest the fucking criminals? If you don't want a revolution, do your fucking job. You don't want a revolution? Start arresting the people that don't pay the taxes, don't follow the laws.
Yeah, so Nick Fuentes, I mean, he, you know, whether you like him or not, you think it, you know, he's right. Why are we living in a country, supposed to be a free country? We're supposed to be safe. We're supposed to be, you know, American dream. And, you know, they're stealing from you all the time. You call the police, they say there's nothing they can do about it. You know, after the 3rd time, you're like, I'm sick of this shit. If they're not going to do something about it, I'm going to do something about it. This is exactly what he's talking about. This is, you know, the guy gets 54 years after he attempted 3 times. I'm not saying that it's right that he went and chased the person down to get his car back and shot the dude or whatever happened. But if you think about it, you think that there would be like, you know, maybe we'll give him 5 years because, you know, it was a fit of rage. No, 54 years. Guy lost his life behind the, you know, the cops not doing their job. It's just, that's interesting. That's something. It's definitely something. Now, we covered this last week. Not this particular clip, but we covered this last week. Before, I want to get into this thing with InfoWars there in a minute, but before I do, I want to talk about Solomon. So I'll tell you what. I'll unpack it on the other side of this clip. Let me run this clip, then I'll cover it on the other side because he explains it pretty good, probably better than I can myself. So stand by.
We've got some other important news that we broke for you over the last 24 hours related to Russiagate. That scandal keeps unraveling. We're learning so much more. Our newest reporting over at justthenews.com reveals that an intel watchdog, the Inspector General of the Intelligence Community, ignored a Russiagate whistleblower's repeated reports of abuses by spy agencies. That, according to newly declassified memos we got at Just the News from Tulsi Gabbard, the DNI. The whistleblower held a senior position on the National Intelligence Council, was a deputy national cybersecurity officer, and reportedly had direct knowledge of wrongdoing that occurred under the Obama administration and their 2016 Intelligence Committee assessment. That claim, now disputed, that Russia was trying to help Donald Trump win the 2016 election. Despite all that, the whistleblower was still ignored by the Intelligence Committee Inspector General despite numerous overtures. In fact, at one point, the Intelligence Committee Inspector General said, you may have some merit to your concerns, but we don't have a way to get it to the Justice Department. That's silly. There's a thing called phone or email. They could have done it, but it was a walk around, a slow walk. I want to just point out for everybody, it is the same Inspector General office that aggressively pursued a complaint against involving Ukraine that helped trigger the first failed impeachment against President Trump. Please remember that whistleblower complaint later was discredited as inaccurate, but the Inspector General was fine with that one, just not fine with going after Russiagate. We got more of that at justthenews.com.
Yeah. So they have these intel agencies where you go and whistleblowers go there and they tell the story of whatever it is, whatever the thing is, right? And so they have this, whistleblower, they tell them what's going on and they throw it under the rug. Intel offices, you know what I mean? Like, what is the problem with this whole thing? The Russiagate, the J6, all these different things where from paying attention to what you learn over time that it's all corruption. This whole thing is all corruption. We know this, right? And whether it's the Epstein files or Pizzagate or the Hillary Clinton emails, whatever it is, it's all corruption, and the intel agencies just cover it up. The CIA covers it up. The FBI covers it up, and it's ran wild for so long they don't even hide it now because they've been just blatantly doing this for so long that they don't even hide it. Well, it's caught up to them. And so this is about the 10th report that he's put out in the last 2 weeks about this stuff, whether it's Russiagate or, the thing where they said that Trump was a Russian agent and Putin was helped him win the election and all that stuff. Remember, that went on for 4 years. Well, it's still going on because the Democrats still say that Trump was an illegitimate president in 2016, 2017. And all that stuff. But this is just more of the same bullshit that keeps going on. Now, I want to rest. It's all these reports are great. We exposed Obama last week and, we exposed this person, that person, this thing, that thing. It's all great. We need bracelets. Put them in jail. Do to them what they did to us. Do to them what they did to the J6 prisoners that some of them haven't even got their rights back yet because they didn't get full pardons because they were part of the Oath Keepers or Proud Boys or whatever. And it's just not right. It's wrong. But yet they continue to do this stuff and hide it and get away with it because, frankly, the Republicans that are in office don't do their job. Right? So, So a lot of you probably seen this last week. I'm not going to play the clip where all the victims came up to the podium, was crying and talking. I'm going to do that. I'm not going to do that. But there was this one clip with when MTG Marjorie Taylor Greene was talking to the media outside of the hearing where they had all the victims of Epstein and all this stuff. We'll play this clip real quick for you before we get into the stuff about InfoWars. Stand by.
I was the second co-sponsor on Thomas Massey's resolution. After reading the entire resolution, I think it's very good. It's well written. It protects the victims and it provides the transparency that the country deserves, and most importantly, the survivors deserve. yes, I will be proudly signing the discharge petition.
Why is it important to do this in addition to what the Oversight Committee is doing?
Me personally, and I believe in transparency on all levels. And this shouldn't have been a battle, and unfortunately, it has been one. And you know, as a woman myself, as a mother of 2 daughters, I can't imagine any young girl or any young woman being victimized and having the government and different people in power and basically a cabal of powerful, rich people, as well as the government, cover this up and not prosecute these monsters. And so, yes, I'll probably sign the discharge petition, and I will probably vote for it.
Are there any files that the Department of Justice has, you believe, that would be some sort of smoking gun, or that would be some sort of thing that would really, is there something specific that you know exists that you were trying to get, or is this in case there is something?
So I think all of us are learning as we go, and from what I learned today in our meeting, it was very lengthy, and there was a lot of information given. Gratefully, those are some of the most courageous women I've ever met. These are women that have never truly received justice and have gone out and named names and done everything they can, and they have been failed horrifically. But there's information, but it lies in different places. One place is in the case in New York. Another place would lie within the estate, Jeffrey Epstein's estate. Other information would lie within the FBI and Department of Justice, and that information we are being given, thankfully, on the Oversight Committee. We're being given a lot of information. There's also information in civil cases and trials. So there's information in many different places, and it'll require quite a pursuit to get it.
Have you heard from White House officials who are trying to undercut this discharge petition at this moment?
I haven't talked to anybody from the White House trying to undercut it. No.
Have GOP leaders asked you not to sign it?
No, I haven't been asked to not sign it.
Speaker Johnson said that the discharge petition in his view is essentially moot because of the Oversight's investigation. Do you agree with that? What do you make of that?
Well, I just stated right here before, so I'll just repeat that I personally, as a woman and a mother of 2 daughters, think that at every level we should be trying to provide transparency. And we need to do this for victims of sexual assault and child abuse and sex abuse. And we need to do this for survivors. It needs to happen for these survivors of this cabal of people that allowed this abuse and kept this abuse going for so long with Jeffrey Epstein and others. But it needs to be done for survivors all over our country. It just is. So I'm on board with every level. It's totally fine with me. To me, it crosses every line. And I'm happy. I was the second co-sponsor of Thomas Massey's resolution. I'm happy to sign the discharge petition.
Do you want the speaker to, I mean, you could just bring this to the floor, right? Mr.
Well, I said in the defense of Speaker Johnson, I sat by him in our meeting. I listened to his compassion for these survivors. I listened to his questions. I've listened to some of his plans that he has going forward. So I do think he's doing a great job there. So I just think we need to do everything we can to bring it out. And I think that requires a lot of people working together for once for these survivors, instead of there being efforts that's happened for years to block it.
Yeah, so I want to play that just because I wanted to see what they're doing over there, because, you hear the Epstein stuff, you hear what's going on, you hear Trump saying that it's a hoax. What he's saying when he says it's a hoax is the stuff that's in the documents or in these files. They've been corrupted with different things, like, talking about like Melania was a hooker and he met Melania through Epstein, all that bullshit. It's all lies from 2017, all that stuff. We know this, but that's why he's saying it's a hoax. Trump's not saying that the Epstein files is a hoax, or the Epstein whatever it is a hoax. He's saying that the stuff that's in there has been tainted and is a hoax. And that's what he's saying. He's not doing a good job of explaining it, but that's what they're saying on the inside with that. Just for a heads up. Now, we're gonna let this thing shake out. I have a feeling that in the next few weeks, more is going to be revealed about this whole Epstein files, whatever the fuck they are. I don't know a lot about the details around that because it's been very hush hush, but we know what's been reported for the last 10 or 15 years. So we know that. We know that Epstein was a pedophile and he was a blackmailer and he was doing all that stuff. We don't know all that. And we know from these women that are victims, what they're saying is that, all these different women are coming out and saying that they were assaulted by him and all that stuff. So we know that stuff. We want to see who's on the other end of it because they said at the podium the other day that that they're going to expose it. They're going to put the lists out. They're going to put out, who was involved and who wasn't and all that stuff. That's what the victim said last week. So more, we're going to find out some more stuff about that. Now, as we all know, InfoWars has been under attack for many years. Been under investigation, all this stuff. They bankrupted him because of Sandy Hook, that he didn't even do anything. He just mentioned it a couple times on his show. You're supposed to have free speech in this country, but the CIA, they wanted to take him down. And so they used Sandy Hook as a reason to sue him. And we know all that, right? Well, they've been trying to go in there and take his business from him over and over and over. Well, now the truth is coming out about what really is going on behind the scenes of InfoWars and what's really going on behind the scenes at the Justice Department and all these corrupt district attorneys and all that stuff. So I have this clip this report we're gonna do right now, and it's called "Good Luck with That Bankruptcy Fraud." Stand by.
So here it is. Onion CEO Ben Collins, that ran the censorship bureau at MSNBC, now funded by Bloomberg, hasn't given up on print or buying InfoWars. And you ought to read the whole, 22-page article, because it is a exercise in disinformation and gobbledygook.
It became immediately clear to us that no one else was going to bid on this. The auction for these assets, like the entirety of the InfoWars thing, like including his supplements that he sells to people, were for sale. Like, we won, the judge took it away from us because he was also scared of what was going on. And
no, they had a fake auction and got caught, and the judge said it violated bankruptcy law. He didn't want to say it was criminal, but he said it, he stopped short. He said it looks bad.
You made this bid. It was an incredible moment when it was announced that you were doing this. And then all of a sudden, brakes are on, right? And the judge somewhere, I have all the details, but basically said, this isn't happening.
Yeah, he basically wiped away about 18 months of court decisions. Was like, I would be spooked too. You got to remember, Dan Bongino, Cash Patel, these people were on InfoWars.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
Patel never was.
Our ideological battle in our generation is not what we went through in the Civil War, defending the country and abolishing the scourge of slavery. It's not our revolution where we fought for the very ideas of limited government freedom. That's not it. What we're fighting now is an ideology, a pernicious, dangerous, and historically deadly ideology that says that other men and women have been imbued with some special powers to reign over your life and take your liberty and to move forward. And this is somehow a benevolent way, knighted by the Lord himself, that these men should take control of your life. This is our fight. This is our time.
Once we allow the left-leaning media, which is what most of them are, to paint conservative or liberty-based talk as inherently violent, what do you think the next step is, Alex? The next step is censorship. You can't allow this to happen. So I'm asking your listeners whether you support Trump, Cruz, Rubio, Ron Paul, Rand Paul, Joey Bag of Donuts. I don't care who you support. Do not allow them to do this, because once they do it, it's the next step towards suppression of free speech, which the left has always.
And as usual, you cut right to the heart. They're censoring in Europe. They're starting to censor here. They admit they want to censor us because they can't compete with our ideas. And you hit the nail on the head. They are wanting to say it's radical. They want to put out these law enforcement advisements. They even tried to ban in the Navy the Gadsden flag that was the first flag of the U.S. Navy. They mean business.
Right. Dan Bongino, he got to start there. These people that was a feeder system to the administration. So like to be afraid of that is natural.
Now, at the end here, they say if you could have anything you wanted, what would you do?
What would you control?
I mean, I really would like to control InfoWars.
No, that's a good answer.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens, but I would like to do
The
it.
more we survive, the more we know it's the hand of God, and the more historical it is, and the more it makes me love this place more than ever and want to fight, because they want the symbol and they want to misrepresent and they want to steal not just my identity, but the idea of the info war and claim it's theirs. And they say that on national TV and in Wired Magazine and all over the place. And they got caught in a fake auction. And we sued them and got the depositions and emails where they admit, we're not going to let any company that keeps Jones on the air and InfoWars have it. So we're just going to cancel the auction and give it to these people. Well, guess what? The Justice Department's investigating now. And here they are in there, in the Wired, admitting they know that. And then they've got the nerve in this Wired Magazine article to say the judge is scared of the Justice Department, and that's why he hasn't given us the company. The judge has nothing to worry about. And then they've got these people literally spinning it. Oh, Jones has Dan Bongino stopping the shutdown. In June of last year, the judge shut them down when they tried to close this illegally. And he fired the U.S. trustee for the Justice Department. They brought another one, and the CRO, saying he never seen anything like it. Then in November, they had the fake auction, and he shut them down then. That had nothing to do with Dan Bongino. So just know, if they somehow get us shut down the next few months, which they're trying to do constantly, there's another hearing on the 16th in front of Guerra Gamble that ran the show trials, it'll work out, folks, because if people don't get indicted for what they've done that's cut and dry, I mean cut and dry, in the depositions, in the emails, we're not going to let anybody at the auction get InfoWars. We're going to go beforehand, decide it goes to this group for almost no money. That's bankruptcy fraud. Every guest we've interviewed in studio, I've given our ultramethylene blue to. And
yeah, so that's interesting information. If you don't know about what's going on with InfoWars, that gives you a little bit more information about how they've continued to go in and just completely fraudulently try to take down Alex's InfoWars, including bankrupting him, his mom, dad. They've sued everybody that they possibly can. And hold on, I'm attempting to do two things at once here. I'm not good at it. So and so I've paid very close attention to all this stuff that's going on with Alex, and all the stuff that you hear in the media versus the truth that he puts out, and all the different, because they're coming to take it down any minute and all this stuff. And what they've been able to do is continue to counter sue, because the Justice Department or whoever's in charge, the bankruptcy attorneys or whatever, they keep trying to take InfoWars without going through the proper channels that the federal government or the federal prosecutor or the federal judge said that they have to follow a path to buy it or whatever. And I wanted to get this on here today so that you could see the truth, because I get these messages all the time. Why are you so into Alex Jones and all that stuff? Well, probably because he's been right all the time, but plus, like, he's like one of those people that just knows a ton. He knows a lot. Like, whenever I have a question about something, I go to Alex to find out what he knows about it before I go anywhere else, because he's usually 99.5% right. So that's why, right? And I get tired of listening to it, but that's why they say Alex Jones was right, because he usually is. And does he sometimes say things that haven't happened? He's giving you the information so you can make a good judgment on whatever it is. And most of the time he's dead on. So anyway, I just want to put that out there before we end the stream tonight. I want to say thank you for being here. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. I really appreciate it if everybody would just subscribe to the X platform so that we could get more views, and I want to pump it up and I want to get it going, because I think that as long as X is there, it's going to be a good platform to get out to everybody, because Rumble and Getter, they're just not as big, and although we get the most traction on Getter than we do from anywhere else, because Rumble has so many shows on it, it's hard to I'm just too small, and I'm working on getting bigger, and with your support I can. So thank you very much for being here. God bless everybody. We will see you on Monday night at Monday night at 7 p.m. is we're gonna start doing news. We're gonna start doing short news blitzes on during the week. So we're going to start that now. We're ready to get started. So we're going to start that this week. So God bless everybody. Please subscribe to the channel. Share this information everywhere. It's open source. Do whatever you want with it. Just please push Inspector Webb out there in the platforms. Thank you. Have a good night. God bless you.